Welcome to the Dire Wolf Show, where we believe that America is exceptional and that our constitutional rights should never be infringed. I am Dire Wolf. On our show, we bring you the truth and debunk fake news. If you love laughing at the insanity of the regressive left, sit back and relax. Boy, do I have a show for you. Welcome back, Wolfpack. Dire Wolf here for another weekly news recap. Behind enemy lines on YouTube, where speech is not free and the truth is demonetized. Alongside me is my co-host and my super prepared producer, Fox.
I am plenty prepared, thank you. My laptop was just stressed out from all day of writing.
But don't worry, you established dominance and is now in line, right?
Yes, unlike Dyer, when I pee on my laptop, it obeys.
All right, so I want to thank everyone who makes this show possible. Thank you to our sponsors: Ori Main, Nathan, Cameron, Tetris Freak, Slowpoke, Golem, Lone Fury, Pablo Gomez, Strong Arm, Hellraiser Zalon, and thank you also to Timberwolf.
And I'd also like to thank the Democrats, because without them, what would we talk about?
Yes. I mean, without that train wreck, what would we have to comment on?
Certainly not the Trump economy and all that great stuff. We wouldn't be able to comment on any of that. There just wouldn't be anything to talk about.
Anyway, just around the clock winning. We get so tired of winning.
I know.
But if you're not supporting us financially, we still appreciate every last one of you guys that follow our content, give us those likes, shares, and subscribes and follows. Please do share our video. Take a moment. It's a couple of clicks for you, but that's what helps our channel grow. So please do take a moment at some point during the show and share it on your social medias.
Yeah, as you guys know, we're not getting any help from YouTube for promotion. The DLive and Twitch model are not as clear cut as the YouTube algorithm was when it did work. So the only way we're going to continue growing and continue being able to do this, if you guys bring your friends over, share it out on your social media, and just keep our name out there. We much appreciate that.
Yep. Any case, please remind me to do the raffle at the end of the show. We have to raffle off like 3 of those pieces of art.
I'm going to maybe in the show map we should put at the end of the show map to do the raffle. I'm going to do that.
Yes. So for how the raffle works, every $2 of donations or 200 Lino, you get entered into a raffle. We have a very long list of people who have been entered into the raffle that I keep forgetting to do the raffle. So we're going to do it today 3 times.
I keep forgetting to ask you to do that too.
And it is your job to remind me to do my job.
Yes, I'm not very good at that job.
How dare you?
It's a big job.
Speaking of how dare you, that is the sound effect that plays when you guys donate $2 or more. If you donate $10, that will read off you whatever debauchery you write in the comment.
Yes.
Otherwise, it's up to our discretion whether or not we want to read that out loud. In any case, before we get to our first stories, let's do some funny / interesting videos.
Alrighty.
This first one is a real true-to-life commercial from Thinx. It's a commercial for an underwear brand that wants to tell men how we should act.
Alrighty, let's see what we got here.
I love commercials like that.
Hey, Dad.
Yeah, bud?
I think I got my period.
Can you have a tampon? Yeah. Okay. Oh, my period.
Me too.
Okay, so it says that if we had them, maybe we'd be more comfortable with them, right?
I think that is horrifically transphobic to pretend. I think they're pretending like men don't already get periods, right? And as we know, men can have periods too. So what are they talking about? If we all had them, we already do. I'm confused.
Okay, so I think that people are sufficiently wary of a period. Not that they are shaming people for having periods, or like, oh, you have a period, I can't be around you. No, it's like if you're having a period, you probably shouldn't be having sex because you're spreading a bunch of blood around and bacteria, right? It is a sanitary thing, right? What the message at the end was, we both have periods, we're gonna still have sex. I personally find that kind of gross, but some people like that. But I don't think that there is a cultural shaming of people for having them. I don't think people who are like, I don't want to mess with your tampons because, I'm being bigoted. No, I don't want to mess with your tampons because it's gross. Except for that one guy who apparently was in love with them and was sniffing them. Remember that one guy? That tampon dude?
I don't know.
There was a guy on YouTube who was making videos of talking about how he loved his girl. He was so not bigoted. He loved his girlfriend so much that he would smell her used tampons. That's a real thing.
I don't know if that's love. That's something else.
He's called obsession.
But there are I think when I saw this, I thought of the only two groups of people that I can think of that have any interest in caring about women's periods in 2019, and that would be other women, because as we all know, 99% of the problems that feminists have with the quote-unquote patriarchy is usually just other women doing that to them or judging them for that. Like, men don't actually notice or care about any of those things. And the other group is actually Islam. They have a weird issue with periods, and they do a lot of like weird shaming type things, especially during Ramadan, because girls that are on their period during Ramadan have like special privileges or whatever. And apparently, it's a common thing that their family members will shame them or make it weird or something. So that's the only two groups of people that they should air this commercial there.
Yeah. So I don't think that. I've never seen a guy shame a woman for being on a period. I have seen people like, hey, don't leave your period-stained tampon out. That's gross.
Yeah.
It's not you're ashamed for having a period. It's you should be, take the reasonable precautions to be clean during your period, right?
Yeah. So like if you're like in a relationship, I think it's pretty obvious, like people understand that that's going to happen, and like you just, oh, well, that's inconvenient, but we will do something else tonight. Or if you're, just dating around or, going out in the town that night, like you're probably not going out with, like, you're probably not going to get yourself into that situation anyways as a girl. So I don't really see what the issue is. I really don't know who, I don't know. I mean, you know a lot of guys, Dyer. I know a lot of guys. This isn't like a thing that,
I don't know. I've never seen it happen.
I don't either. Like I've never really. There's never been an issue that I've seen or heard of.
Like, me and Alpha B, after I get a running start and tackle her to the ground, she'll say, "Oh, I'm on a period." Okay, that's fine, honey. Want to watch a movie?
And Dyer's like, I can still kiss you.
Right. Yes.
Or give you weird winks.
But what I got at the end of that movie was they're expressly encouraging people to, if they are grossed out by that, to keep having sex with someone who has a period. When I honestly don't want blood all over my bed, which is white sheet. It has white sheets. So I just, also all over me. I don't want that.
You're such a bigot, Jesus.
I'm such a bigot.
I didn't really. All right, the show's over. I can't do this anymore. This guy's a bigot.
Yeah. Anyways, let's do the next video.
All right. Where did I put that one?
It's like trying to glorify taking a shit. Just stop it. Thank you, Shami King. I appreciate your input. That's hilarious. It's your bodily fluids. Okay, so the setup for this video. This guy is a self-proclaimed Antifa dude who thinks he's a big man living in his mother's basement, and he wants to threaten all of the people who voted for Trump and who currently.
Yeah, let's take a look at what this guy has to say.
It's only a matter of time before the far right and the alt-right and Nazis and the
How much your
fascists
balls drop?
and all the other genocidal fuckwits commit enough terrible actions that the left are unified against.
Okay. Who is committing all the violence in the streets? It's Antifa.
And the
not-
thing is that the left has been demoralized.
by lack of
The
pussy.
left really doesn't have much left to go for it. If it comes to war, as there is indeed a quite good chance of it, then
You guys are gonna get
they are going to
slaughtered.
fight hard, and they are going to
I don't
fight bloody,
call for that.
they are going to fight dirty, and they are going to win. So my advice to you,
Who's gonna fight dirty?
if you are alt-right, if you are fascist, if you are Nazi, if you are genocidal, if you are in any way a fan of the Trump administration, is to start undermining it, and start undermining it fast. Become very vocal about how you are undermining it. Because when the end of the Trump administration comes,
Okay, can I just point out that he's literally like a snot-nosed brat? He just wiped
Yes,
his
he is.
nose. He literally is a drippy, runny nose. Like,
Also, so yes, Antifa is a very loud, violent minority. They are someone we need to deal with, or a group that we need to deal with, because they're breaking the law and they need to have their faces punched in by police officers when they're breaking the law, when they're being violent, because the police and the government needs to defend the rights of the people that they are trying to infringe upon. But they are not ever going to have power. There's only one response. Either the government uses them as a reason to crack down on us, the bad response is they respond to street violence like this by taking more of our freedoms as an excuse to fight against this stuff, or they just enforce the current laws and deal with them, punish them, take them off the streets, protect the people, make it so costly for Antifa that they stop protesting the way they are with violence. Or if it gets bad enough, the majority of regular people who don't like being attacked will do the police's job, and they'll probably be way more violent in doing so. When you see the Proud Boys, when you see the armed protesters that are, I forget what the name of them, but the conservative protesters, they'll go there with they're their militia group.
oh, the Proud Boys.
Not the Proud Boys, the militia group. They go there. They're ex-military. They go with rifles, and they just basically sit
Patriot
between.
Prayer.
Maybe Patriot Prayer. Not sure.
Oh.
Either way, those groups are growing and are going to more protests because of Antifa. And it's only a matter of time before the far more well-armed and far more I would say not snot-nosed kids, but actual men, before they respond with violence in return. And when they do respond with violence, they will be mostly justified because of all the violence that happened from Antifa prior to that point.
Yeah, I'm one thing that keeps sticking with me is they're gonna fight dirty, like talking about the conservatives. Like, does he mean fighting dirty like going after old people in the streets, pepper spraying people who are not involved in the incident at all, wearing masks and being able to get away with whatever it is that you want to get away with? And as for the violence in the street, I'd love to see what this kid can actually do. I'm sure he's not that strong. He's certainly not strong enough to clean up his room. Yeah, the response, if it comes to some kind of war, which I don't think would be war,
It won't be war, no.
Yeah, and for this guy to say something about war, that's funny. But to the effect that there'll be violence in the streets, it's the right is much more slow to action, more aggressive when we do respond. I think that comes from a healthy respect of the Second Amendment. where you understand, okay, I've got the right to defend myself, but that is a ultimate action, so I'm going to stay reserved on that. And it's a lot of these guys should feel blessed every time they walk out on the street and are able to walk back off of it, because even just assaulting somebody physically, that is typically covered for self-defense. So
yes, it is.
Yeah, so
If he tries to hit someone with a bat or try tackling someone, tries punching someone, they're totally justified in the right to shooting him in the face, because he's trying to perpetrate violence against them, right?
Yep.
But I want to just get back to the fact that this guy, he's not intimidating. This little bitch here is not intimidating. And yes, some people join the military that are little wimps like this guy. But they don't stay in the military very long. You get to know what the look of a killer, what someone who actually could do well in war. You also get to recognizing the look of people who fall apart in war, or just in a stressful situation, in conflict in general. And this guy, from my experience, does not have the look of someone who would survive 10 seconds in war.
I don't think he would survive 10 seconds in, like, literally
basic training.
Picking up his room, like folding his clothes, cutting the crust off his PB&J that his mom made him.
Yeah.
You want to finish up the video here?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, all right.
Let this bitch cry.
You want to say that you were an ally who helped destroy the Trump administration, because God help you if you are found to be one of those people who backed the Trump administration when the left comes for you. Because the left will come for you, one way or the other.
Alright, now this dude is cross-eyed as all fucking hell. That does not necessarily mean that he has an actual mental condition, but it kind of looks like it. Regardless, he is certainly stunted in that is clearly his parents' basement. But he appears to be emotionally stunted, and that kind of goes to show the type of people that Antifa's rhetoric attracts and makes sense to, is people who aren't playing with a full deck of reasoning cards.
Yeah. People who are intellectually disabled do tend towards radical belief systems anyways.
Yes.
In any case, let's get on to our first story. How about that? How about them apples?
I prefer pears. Alrighty. Let's see. The DOJ. Oh my God. That means
hey, there's Helping Hand. But one quick second. I'm sorry. Helping Hand. Would you like to join the show? And are you able to do that, Fox? I did tell you after the show went live.
Yeah, I know.
Somebody.
I appreciate. It's getting earlier and earlier. I mean, someday it'll be before the show even starts. That'll be crazy. It's almost be like going back in time.
Do you have his avatar?
I do have his avatar. I will add it eventually.
I will throw him in the call, and if he shows up, he shows up. If he doesn't show up, then c'est la vie.
We speak American on the show.
Oh, I'm sorry. Then such is life.
Okay. Anyways, about that DOJ, they have shifted the origins of the Russia. Well, they have shifted the inquiry into the Russian investigation origins into a criminal investigation. So that was the investigation into the Mueller investigation. They were just looking into how did that whole thing get started, and now they are looking into what crimes were committed, which is like a pretty big thing. So shifting what kind of investigation that is opens up a lot of new doors for what AG Barr can do, like subpoena power and that sort of stuff. But let's get into reading what we've got written here. So, for the better part of 2.5 years, our country was subjected to the Mueller probe. It was a deep probe, too. It was not comfortable. A broad investigation based on flimsy lies in search of a crime that had not been committed by Trump. Intel agencies and the news media during this period spoke with certainty, utter certainty, about the progressively more and more ridiculous conspiracy theories about how Trump was a Russian plant, just like Tulsi Gabbard, who had stolen the U.S. election. This culminated in the end of the Mueller report, Mueller investigation, showing that no evidence of Trump breaking any laws. And since this is America, no evidence of wrongdoing means that you are not guilty. It means that you are innocent, because you are innocent until proven guilty. And there was no guilt proven. Therefore, yes, that crappy report that Mueller put out did show that Trump was innocent. And it also showed that no one in his campaign had ever conspired with the Russians.
Yeah, but did it show someone conspired with the Russians?
Did it?
Because the entire Steele dossier was Russian and Ukrainians sourced. So they paid the Russians money for dirt on Trump, and they gave lies, verifiable lies, just to fuck with the U.S. elections.
That's really
So
awkward.
who was conspiring to hurt the U.S. elections? We also learned that the Steele dossier, the origin of the claims against Trump, was lies based on Russians and Ukrainian sources paid by the DNC and Hillary Clinton as campaign. The Ukrainian government later admitted that they had conspired with the Hillary campaign to subvert the Trump campaign. This was admitted by Ukrainian government. We also found that the U.S. intelligence agencies had wiretapped Trump Tower without legitimate justification.
Isn't that illegal?
Yes.
Oh, okay. That's probably why. Yeah. All right. Not only that, but the FBI had started an investigation into Trump based on the Steele dossier that they knew was inaccurate. From the beginning, the FBI knew that it was created as opposition research from biased sources that could not be verified. It was so unverified even that Steele himself once said that he put it at about 50-50 as to whether or not what he wrote was accurate. They used it as a justification to the FISA court, which is the secret international spy court that it's a little outside the Constitution. Anyways, they used the news reporting, quoting Steele, the author of the dossier, as a second source to verify the dossier. So they cited the dossier, and then as their second source, they asked the writer of the dossier if he thought what he wrote was true. And even that, he said he wasn't sure.
Yeah, it's as ridiculous as you make it sound.
I'd be like if I told you, hey Dyer, like I'm gonna be late to the show today, and then you're like, hey Fox, are you gonna be late to the show today? And I was like, yes I am. And then I ask you, like, hey, do you think I'm gonna be late to the show? And you're like, yes, I have sources that told me that you would be late to the show.
So the funny thing, the bad thing is, it's also funny, is so it seems ridiculous when you say it like that. But what they did was Steele submits the dossier, right? And then because the FBI needed a corroborating source, they had Steele also leak the dossier or leak statements about the dossier, what was in it from his words, to the news media. And then the news media publishes an article. Now that article references Steele as a source, but not by name, right?
Yep.
So they say they have a source that said these things. It's Steele, and because of that, with news source, with that what's the word? Anonymous source.
Yes.
That corroborates the dossier according to the FISA court, because the FISA court doesn't know that the source is the same person. So they lied to the FISA court.
How dare they? Was that?
Which makes the whole investigation that came from that FISA court, that was authorized by the FISA court, illegal.
Yeah. So the FISA court, which I'm sure almost everybody in our audience has become experts in the FISA court over the last 2 years because we've heard about it nonstop. But just for a quick refresher, the FISA court grants the intelligence community the ability to just just waltz right through the Constitution, just shred it up and put it into the fire, just incinerate the whole thing. The FISA court lets them do that, but they've got some special rules that say you're not supposed to do it unless you really need to do it, is basically how it works. And the FBI, by doing this, they set up basically a fake circumstance where it looked like they really needed to shred up the Constitution, even though they didn't. Even though nobody else does, and that's more of a problem. So it wasn't necessarily the fact that they were doing something unconstitutional, because the entire FISA court is basically unconstitutional. It was that they lied to the people who get to decide whether or not you can do something unconstitutional. That was the real crime. Which, when I describe it like that, it sounds even worse.
Right. All right. Is it
I don't know
turn?
if that was you reading this part or if that was just you riffing. So
that was me riffing. Sorry.
Okay.
So clearly, it would seem that several people likely have committed multiple crimes. From what we have already learned is true, verifiably true, just so far in the investigation. So the question is, why haven't they been held accountable for the fraud they perpetrated on the American people, the violating of Trump's rights, and the attempted coup to overturn a legitimate election of the U.S. president? Well, the answer is that the Justice Department Inspector General Michael Horowitz and the DOJ's U.S. Attorney General John Durham, both have been leading two separate investigations into the possible crimes. Both of these reports are near completion and will be released soon.
Did I just sneeze on the mic?
You did.
I had it muted, and when I sneezed, I finally shook my arm and unmuted it.
Oh, jeez.
Sorry, guys.
Sorry.
That should be our that should be our donation sound. Is it my turn now? Yes. Hello? Did I lose Tyre? All right, I'm just going to start reading because Tyre's not answering. IG Michael Horowitz had already received... Michael Horowitz is not the IG. Oh, yeah, he is. Okay. IG Michael Horowitz already revealed some information last year showing that FBI agents who had been leading the illegal investigation... that was a Freudian slip, into the candidate Trump had planned their investigation to be an insurance plan in case Trump was elected. These are also the same agents who had helped end the investigation into Hillary for her emails without holding her accountable for any of the very clear and obvious felonies that she had committed. Thank you very much, Chris King 2 or King Chris 2.
It's the Shaman King, I assume.
Well, Shaman King is Shaman King. So.
Oh, you're this new guy. Sorry.
It is your turn, Dyer.
All right. All righty then. Last month, Horowitz told lawmakers his team had nearly completed his review and submitted a draft to Attorney General William Barr. Since that time, the only barrier to the release of the full IG report was the declassification process. About 20% of the report would have been redacted if submitted at that time. And remember, the Democrats freaked out about 7 words being redacted last time they released the Mueller report. So
I like how they lose their mind over 2 sentences being redacted over the course of 407 pages, and they're just like, well, we're going to do the entire impeachment inquiry behind closed doors and not release any of it.
Yeah, weird, right?
You guys are going to have to deal with it. Okay.
Making things that aren't classified just because they say so.
Yes.
With no source document saying so.
Yes.
So I can leave a classified briefing and then talk about the things that were listed on the briefing as unclassified. Every single line of a classified briefing is identified as being what kind of classification it is, right? Mm-hmm. So, yeah, they should be able to talk about anything during those impeachment hearings that are not classified.
Yeah, but didn't you hear?
What?
Schiff is the new Constitution. So.
Oh,
it's just There wasn't a vote for it, but he's just the Constitution now, so it's whatever he decides. I mean, it makes sense if you think about it. It makes sense.
It definitely explained his behavior recently.
Yes.
Anyway, so the report would have been, again, 20% redacted. But William Barr is working to get the entirety of the report unredacted.
Whoa!
Donation
Yes.
in memory of my boy
That's
who
why it's been
passed
a
a
month.
year ago.
It has
Rest in
been
peace.
suggested
Gibji,
that it's
love you,
taken
my
this
boy.
long because he has been delayed by James Clapper, the director of national intelligence, who was appointed by Obama. We are not able to verify that it was indeed him that's caused the 1 month delay so far, but what we do know is that the intel agencies are resisting efforts to declassify the report, and James Clapper is in charge of that process, so it just goes to reason.
That was a
He's gotta be okay with
donation from Timberwolf, who donated $40. Thank you very much, Timberwolf.
I didn't hear it.
I know you.
I'm so
did.
sorry.
That's why I was saying whoa, and then you just kept talking over me because you don't respect me at all. Anyways, Timberwolf said this donation is in memory of my boy who passed away a year ago. Rest in peace. Gib G, love you, my boy. All right, thank you very much, Timberwolf, and respects to your boy.
Yeah. Very sorry to hear that.
So, thank you.
For what it's worth, that is a lot of entries. 25 entries
Yes, sir.
into the raffle. Might as well give you the prize.
Is 25 what you get when you divide 40 by 2?
20.
Yeah.
I was thinking 50. Anyways, math in public, okay?
You said it so confidently.
I knew it was wrong.
I didn't
as
want to
soon as it came
break
out,
your.
but
I didn't want to bust your bubble. I almost believed it for a second.
you know what? He deserves it. He had a friend die, okay?
All right, we'll give you a bonus 5. How about that?
Oh, what a heartless bastard you are.
You knew what this was when you signed me up. It was part of my contract. All right, where are we at?
I think we're reading the news.
Am I? Yeah, I meant like in general, like existentially, like what is it? What is life even? All right. At a press conference, Trump made it clear that he, the president, is the final authority on classified information, and that he What's that?
That's absolutely true. He
Yep.
is the final authority.
Except for all the secret alien stuff, obviously. And that he authorizes this report to be declassified, presumably because there's no alien information in it. And he also hinted that one of the many government officials that may be implicated in the IG report was former, get this, President Barack Obama himself. Hope in chains.
Open chains. Oh my god.
Oh, no.
Did you just break something?
Yes.
You broke a glass, didn't you?
No, I had a glass coaster that stuck to the bottom of my glass, and when I picked it up, it stuck, and then it did not stick, and then it dropped on my glass chair mat, and now it's in 1,000 little pieces. So
Well.
I can't move for the rest of the stream. Surrounded by shards of glass. Send help.
Well, we have a captive audience with Fox now.
Yes.
Um,
I'm here all week.
so here's the crazy thing about how government works, right? So the president is the final authority on what is and is not classified. He can unclassify anything. But then the intel agencies can resist by filing lawsuits or just other delaying tactics where like, oh, we're still looking for the documents or blah, 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 right? But they can file a lawsuit against the president to try to get a court to stop the declassification of something. But what's the court going to do? They refer back to what is law, and in the case of declassification, something it's the president, right? So I don't think it's a process that they will ever win, but they just are delaying the president for I don't know what reason, just because it's got information that's going to probably implicate a lot of them, and they think that waiting is going to make it better.
I just don't know anymore. This kind of goes back to the on the Thursday Dyer discusses when we were talking about the storming the impeachment inquiry, and it was I just think that for like the last like 250-ish years, America's just been kind of running on like a gentleman's agreement, and like people kind of like, the parties kind of jab back and forth at each other, but nobody gets too crazy. Everybody just kind of follows these set rules. But
and then Trump runs in and says, "Cowabunga, dude!"
Yeah, and then now nobody's like following the rules, and then everybody's like, "Well, you can't do that. It's the rules." And they're like, "Yeah, but like, what are you gonna do about it?" And they're like, I don't know. No one's ever broken the rules before." That's what's happening. Is they're testing the boundaries of what you can actually do, and they're finding that these boundaries are not really there anymore. Now everybody's in uncharted territory, and we don't know what's going to happen.
Oh, geez. So, where would we leave off? IG report. So Barack Obama. So, I think in all likelihood, Obama will not be held accountable for anything he's implicated for, any kind of wrongdoing. But that might come out in the report. But
I thought that as soon as a president is no longer president, they can be held criminally liable.
They can be, but I am so skeptical about how the government works that I honestly think that someone who's no longer in power and has no political aspirations right now, I don't think they're going to go after him, because by prosecuting him, you are going to lose support for anyone who supports him, right? He has a lot of support still.
Yes, and just by how the math works, a lot of Trump supporters were former Obama supporters, and while they may, and even me, I'm no fan of Obama, and I never was. I don't know. It's sending our highest elected officials to jail over anything is not really what we do in America, and maybe for better or worse. I mean, but that seems more like what a less civilized nation would do. Although
I personally am for holding people who commit crimes to account, no matter what position they have. However, I realize that even though we shouldn't, choose how and who to prosecute for political reasons, the whole Mueller investigation shows that is how the world in America does exist at this point. Not following my moral compass, that's the way the world is. So because I know that's how government works, is that people are or are not prosecuted for crimes because of political reasons. I look at this and I see that prosecuting Obama has no political gain, but does have a political loss. So I know that Trump would not do this, even though I think that Trump, if Obama, I don't know, if Obama committed a crime, whatever it is, he should be held to the same standard as Joe Schmo should be. My opinion.
Joe Schmo, like Joe Schmo Biden, or just Joe Schmo off the street?
Joe Schmo off the street.
Oh, well.
Why Joe Schmo Biden?
I don't know. He's not getting held to account either. I wasn't sure where you were going.
Good point. So, but this week has made it clear that Barr's DOJ is planning to hold someone accountable.
It at minimum needs to be known. So if you're not sending people to jail, it needs to be known. They need to be publicly shamed. It needs to be shown specifically, okay, and something explained to the American people in a way that the media can't come back in and be like, well, we like Obama, so we're going to just pretend that this never happened. It needs to be like explained thoroughly, like, this is what happened, this is who did what, this is why, this is all that stuff. And I don't think they're ever going to get to Obama. I think Obama probably is smart enough to have kept his hands just far enough away from the cookie jar to actually have his fingerprints on anything. But I do think that some of these other names that are recognizable, like Strzok and Page and Clapper and Brennan, I think they are going to have some issues, and I think they should feel the fullest extent of the law.
Yes. So someone will be held account. And Barr's DOJ made it very clear by announcing that the second probe, Durham's investigation, has moved from being just a probe into a criminal investigation, which means they have people in mind that they have criminal evidence on that they're planning on prosecuting. They haven't said who yet, but they have at least at a minimum of one person, probably more, because a lot of people were involved in this. If I were to take a guess, it's at a minimum going to be Strzok and Page. At a minimum them, because they already released a month ago evidence on them.
Yep. All right. Where are we at on this one now?
Right here at Durham.
Durham. All right. Durham, known as the hard-charging bulldog prosecutor, according to a source, probably an anonymous source, has been focusing on the period before November 7th, 2016, including the use and assignments of FBI informants, as well as alleged improper issuances of FISA warrants. Durham was asked to help Barr ensure that intelligence collection activities by the U.S. government related to the 2016 presidential Trump campaign, or to the Trump's 2016 presidential campaign, were lawful and appropriate.
This criminal investigation has a lot of powerful people in the Democrat Party, such as leaker Adam Schiff. I like the edit there. Error there in the text. And members of the intel agencies, they're very worried. Sadly, we can't finish a story or say what truly is in the report until the report comes out. Shocking. So there will be updates to the story very soon.
Are you saying that we have to investigate the crime to find out what's in it?
Yes.
Okay. And it's also important to know it's also important to know what the Democrats in Congress are saying about these infestations. Is that maybe investigations?
Investigations.
I think it could be infestations. That could be a proper use of it. They say that these investigations are only Trump's revenge for the Mueller probe, and that he is wielding governmental power of the DOJ to punish his rivals. And he's not allowed to do that. That's the Democrats' job.
Tragic irony of that statement, right?
Yeah.
They sure have some nerve accusing Trump of that. No, the Mueller investigation was the wielding of government power to seek revenge on Trump for winning the election, for daring to win an election.
How dare he?
Against the anointed Hillary Clinton. It was her turn. Didn't you know? And it was used to punish people who worked on his campaign. They jailed people on his campaign for no other crime than misstating something. Had they not had the FBI investigation that would interrogate them for many hours and get them to say one thing two different ways, they wouldn't have gone to jail. It's only because of the investigation they went to jail, not because of actual crimes. The difference in the Mueller investigation was preceded by lies and criminal behavior. The Mueller investigation didn't have any criminal behavior that they were investigating. No evidence of a crime. There was lies that they based the investigation on, and then they used that to go after Trump, trying to find a crime. Whereas the DOJ's investigation into that is starting with crimes that we already have evidence of having been committed, and this is a response to that to fact find and hold people accountable for a crime we know was committed. The Mueller investigation was based on lies, and there was no crime, and it was punitive. Whereas the DOJ's investigation is only punitive of people who actually committed crimes. There's a huge difference morally.
Yes, and evidence-wise, and
yes.
Constitutionally, which I know that's such a quaint concept as a constitution, man.
Shit, I spilled the beer. So the
we're doing really great tonight.
I spilled a lot of beer. Oh God, it's everywhere. Help!
I can't. I'm trapped into like a circle of broken glass.
I'm trapped in beer. Why is it coming out still? I slammed it down really hard. It just bubbled up everywhere.
Oh my God! You bottle tapped yourself. What the hell's wrong with you?
Oh my God! So what he's saying, like, okay, basically what he's saying is that was the leader of the Democrats in the Senate. I forget his name right now. Was it'd be the same thing as saying, okay, a police officer is investigating a murder and he has a prime suspect who was found with the murder weapon, and that investigation into that person, oh, that's just using governmental power to punish a political rival. No, stupid. He most likely committed a crime. We have loads of evidence, and he's a prime suspect. We're using government power to protect people from criminals.
Once again, Dyer, it's not criminal when they do it.
Oh, geez. So you see that's way different than some crackhead accusing that same person of having committed murder, but there's zero evidence, right? Because I'm saying that the crackhead is just as credible as the average crackhead on the street is just as credible as the Steele dossier. That crackhead making a baseless accusation against a person, and then the police putting all their resources into investigating that person for 2.5 years, hoping to find any crime, not even murder, just a crime, and then prosecuting like everyone in his family just because they know him. That's the difference.
They need to. The person I want to see most go down is Comey. Like,
that pompous bastard.
If Comey, they need to have him purple locked with cuffs, his hands behind his back, and that will be our donation gif. We'll have Comey in cuffs walk across the screen every time we get a donation.
Yeah, but remember Peter Strzok's his expression when he was giving testimony is so smug.
Yeah. But we knew Strzok is very obvious what he is. Comey was supposed to be this Boy Scout, right? So
right.
He was hiding it, and he was pretending that he wasn't something. Strzok's never really he's not real good at pretending. That's why it was so obvious when you saw him as that weird smile. Jesus Christ.
But when he was being he was taunting the Republicans for pointing out his corruption, that stubbornly corrupt mindset. I want it to be punished so badly and so severely that no one else would dare do that in the future.
Yeah, that and I think that's probably what we can close this out on.
He was proud of his corruption. You could see it in his face. He's like, I did subvert the presidency of Trump's presidency. I did seek to have him impeached over lies, and I'm proud of it. That was the expression how stubborn he was in front of Congress.
Yeah, it's and yeah, that's what I'm about to say is to close this out. I think the reason why this investigation needs to be this investigation into the origins of the investigation needs to run out to fruition. It needs to be made public what the results are, and people need to be held accountable, specifically because of the glee with which these people wielded the amazingly unconstitutional power of the government against a political rival. That needs to be shut the hell down and have them buried to the point that no one ever wants to try that again. Because that's the other issue, is you need to, one, make an example of this is what's going to happen if you ever try to do that again. But if you don't, everybody's going to be like, well, they didn't do anything to the other guys. I can probably get away with that too. And they'll probably be right about it.
So one thing we covered before was that the power that is wielded by the intel agencies is as great as or greater than any one of the other branches of government. And it's a necessary power that allows them to do things that would, for any other American or any non-classified agency, be illegal, right?
They think it's illegal when they do it. They just pretend like it's not, or we make the Patriot Act or something.
Exactly. So it's illegal, but it's still sanctioned by government. I'm just being honest here, right?
Yeah. But
because of that power they have to subvert the other branches of government, they have to be held accountable when really they a lot of times are not, right? So it has to be really easy to remove people from the leadership of those organizations, and it should happen more often, because if you don't, then they start to get the good old boys club where they become their own entity that feels that they are separate, right? And we need to have more oversight of that great amount of power we've given them.
I almost find it to be a little funny because you're not the only person who uses that phrase, the awesome power that we've given them, and then there need to be some oversight over that. Like, let's be real, a lot of that power, they've taken that power. They weren't granted that power. They're like, oh well, nobody was doing this, and we're gonna do it now. Like, oh, okay. Well.
Okay, so everyone in government are aware they're doing it, and they're not prosecuting them, and that's condoning it.
Yeah, well, it's one of the issues you run into is what's one congressman going to do, and until they can get a big enough coalition, I don't know what they're going to do. And we've got there's been evidence of in other cases within the last decade of the intelligence agencies tapping and listening in on Congress, which is outrageous,
and presidents.
Yeah, so you get one or two guys and. They're like, all right, well, should we do something about this? Should we bring it up to the, should we bring it up to the committees or whatever? And the next thing you know, they're getting recalled, or they don't win their next election, or there's some kind of weird smear that comes out about them, that they're touching people, and it's that kind of stuff happens. And
I hear that if you criticize the intel agencies, you immediately become a pedophile. Or at least that's how it seems to work out. Somehow. Some pedophile porn shows up on your computer and you get arrested right after you criticize them. It's really weird how it works out.
If a tree falls in the forest and no one's around to hear it, did the NSA still record it?
Yes. Clearly.
All right. Well, we could talk about this for another almost full hour, or we could move on to the next story.
Next story. Okay. Was that story one? Shit.
Yeah, I sent you a Skype message a while ago telling you to move it along.
Now we had 40 more minutes for the story, right?
Yes.
Moving on.
Okay. We're going to read this as fast as we possibly can. So, regressives just hate Halloween. That's not surprising. They hate everything. They hate everything that's fun, actually. That's what it is. It's that time of year again. It's Halloween, which, if you are a normal person, means pumpkin carving, hay mazes. Hey, mazes. I think you mean corn mazes. You're not from the Midwest. Dressing up in fun or spooky or sexy costumes and asking strangers for candy, as long as they're not in white vans. However, if you are a member of the regressive left, this is a season when you take all of your enjoyable traditions and try to ruin them by coming up with reasons why they are racist and part of the evil male patriarchy, presumably the white male patriarchy too. And let's throw cis in there too.
Good. Yeah, white cis male patriarchy.
So for Halloween this year, I'm gonna dress up as a straight white male.
Easy. So before I move on to my paragraph, it bothers me that the picture on the far left looks like the head's cropped in.
What?
The head on that kid looks cropped in.
It is.
Doesn't fit the body.
I don't know. You did it.
I got off the internet. Anyways, this year's contestants start with the NPR's host, Lisa Chang, who said that choosing a Halloween costume is not easy, but there are plenty that are insensitive or straight up racist. I would beg to differ. If she was talking about the KKK costumes, then I would be willing to say, yeah, a KKK costume is racist. But
do you mean a ghost outfit?
But in reality, what she's talking about is people dressing up as cowboys and Indians. What she's actually talking about is not something objectively racist. She's talking about people dressing up as cartoon characters that are of a different race or origin as the person dressing up with them. I'll promise you, like, very few people in America can dress up as Maui and actually be an islander. Right?
Yes.
A bunch of people in America can't dress up as Aladdin if you have to be from I forget which Middle Eastern country, but whatever country that was.
I wonder if you're allowed to dress up as Justin Trudeau.
So if you did, you'd be dressed up in blackface.
I know.
Because the black, everyone remembers that Justin Trudeau actually has been living a lie for a long time. He's actually been wearing whiteface.
Yes. The whole
Very
time.
long. He got elected that way,
Yes.
so he kind of got stuck with it.
Yes. It was a whole big joke, and then now he's stuck with it.
He's like, sorry, go on.
Lali Fidel, again on NPR, added this. Over the years, added this quote. Over the years, tastes have changed as people become more sensitive, but the shelves are still stocked with the costumes like Mexican Girl and Arab Man. I've never seen those. Is there really just like? I don't believe that at all. I don't believe that for a second. There is a costume on a shelf somewhere that says Mexican Girl and Arab Man.
I highly doubt it's called that. But she's saying like there's a character that is those things.
I understand
like Mulan
there's characters, but she's just making shit up and putting it in the article.
Yes, she is.
Like, I can just make shit up too. Jesus. Anyways, you are right. A very small minority. Did you I think you messed up the.
Yep.
Highlighting here. Why don't you read this part, and then I'll
Sure.
read the
You are right. A very small minority of annoying regressives have gotten more sensitive. So sensitive that everyone dressing like something they aren't on a holiday where the tradition is to dress up like something you aren't upsets them. The question is, should the rest of society change to accommodate their sensitivity? The answer is no, by the way. Should the rest of society change to accommodate their sensitivity? No. Should we as a society be reinforcing their emotional brittleness and encourage that mindset in others? Absolutely freaking not. We don't need more. We don't need more pussies in our nation. The 51% of females in our country is enough. We don't need more pussies.
Yes. NPR made these comments during discussing Saidi, the chair of Baylor University's Department of Journalism. Oh, I'm sure that's a fantastic department. Public relations and news media says people...
No, that was all part of the name of the department is journalism, public relations, and new media.
Jesus Christ, they could at least learn to write. Maybe they could give themselves a succinct title. All right, we're gonna rename this Baylor University Department of JPRNM.
Yes.
There we go. All right, so the JPRNM says people might think a costume is funny or beautiful. The big deal, though, is it's a dominant culture taking elements of a minority culture with disregard. Can I just... I'll do a little foreshadowing here. So we're going to be discussing a issue of another small child wearing something that does not conform to what it is that his outward appearance would presume you to believe is appropriate for him to wear. We'll be discussing that a little later. I do speak, of course, of sweet baby James. So if it's a trans kid, he can wear whatever the fuck he wants. If it's your kid just screwing around wanting to have fun, no, you cannot appropriate the culture. But if it's a boy who wants to dress like a girl because he thinks he's a girl, or his mom wants him to think that he's a girl, all of a sudden it's fine for him to appropriate the costume of a minority girl and wear it around, and to tell him that he can't do that is racist. And then now it's switched. What if all these kids are trans? What about that? They are by telling these kids that they can't wear these costumes, they are possibly withholding from them the experience of realizing that they're trans. How about that?
That's probably it.
Yep.
You're right. So there is, and there it is, by the way, based on that last statement. Again, they create a racist double standard. It's not wrong for a black person to dress as a white character or for a Native American person to dress as a white person or a black person. It's only wrong for a white kid to dress like the Black Panther or Maui from Disney's Mona. They don't treat people as individuals. No, a white kid being racially insensitive. It's racial insensitive for a white kid to dress as a character of another skin color, but it's okay for a kid with another who's black or Indian to dress like a white kid. It is a double standard, and the reason why is because that white kid belongs to a group is the majority in this country.
I am laughing at how you spelled Disney. It's not. I only know it says Disney because you said Disney. There's nothing about that word that indicates that it says Disney, though.
I meant to go back and check that later.
Oh my god. Jesus. Oh my god. All right, majority in this country is the key phrase there. They act like white people are the and I don't even understand this either. Like, are they basically saying that like non-white children do not go trick-or-treating? Like, is that what we're saying here? Like, they also don't dress up in costumes. For some reason, it's only an issue. Like if everybody in the country, like regardless of race or gender, like does something, it is always the fault of like white men for some reason.
No. So like a black kid can dress up like what's a white character?
Spider-Man.
Okay, yeah, Spider-Man,
Captain
regular
America.
Spider. Yeah. So a black kid can dress up like Captain America. Captain America did actually have a black character once, though. So
almost all of them did.
All of them did. Yeah. So, but anyways, a black kid can dress up as Captain America, and the white version, just specifically because he's just like that, right? He wants to be the white version. Wears white face and everything, and that's not wrong because he's the minority culture appropriating the majority culture, even though the kids aren't wielding any kind of power and aren't causing any harm. But if a white kid dresses up like Black Panther, it's now morally wrong, even though it harms no one.
How would you know it's a white kid in there, though? I mean, the Black Panther costume is like a full body costume.
It is. It is a full body costume. But yeah, you know what? There's nothing wrong. Actually, it's a good thing if a kid can see themselves and associate with a character of a different skin color, because it means they don't care, right?
Here's what you do. All right, if you are a child listening to this show, what I want you to do is close out of your browser. Don't listen to the show if you're underage. Anyways, if you are a parent though, and you're taking your kids going out trick or treating, and you ding dong on a door, and they open that door, and it's some neckbeard who's like, your kid is culturally just kick him in the balls, and then tomorrow night go back out there and leave him some other kind of present that's possibly in a brown paper bag and on fire, and then also ding his door again.
Direwolf does not associate, approve of violence.
I didn't say. Oh, yeah,
also, thank you, Sly Bluebot, for the ice cream a while back. Thank you for that. You're funding stuff like this.
What is your issue with cats? Why don't you like cats?
Fuck pussies.
Gross.
Oh yeah, of course you think that's gross.
All right, but just skip to those last paper. I think I read part of this. Oh, I guess I could read a little bit more. All right, they act like white people are the majority. Maybe they are in America, but definitely not in the world. There are a lot of ethnic groups that outnumber all white people, and keep in mind that white is not an ethnicity. It is a group of a bunch of different people over a variety of cultural groups. And the other thing that's interesting is Halloween is the American version of it is a westernized adaptation of other things, as are a lot of other cultures that adapt other cultures that they are somewhat related to. And it's interesting because Halloween is a very American cultural icon, and these types of people who are always talking about white people, they like to say that America has no culture, that whites have no culture. But this is literally like one of our cultural things, and they're attacking it.
Yeah.
You're
Well,
the
they see Western
racists.
culture and they want to tear it down. But the thing is, like, when you say white, like white cultures, no,
White.
there's Irish, there's British, there's German, there's French. All these groups are mostly skin colored white, but they have very different cultures. If different places in America, different groups of white people have different cultures too. Like white people in Florida have a different culture than white people in Texas in general. They also, the thing is, they share that culture with people of other skin colors in the area, right? So there is no one white culture. There is an American culture, and there are cultures that are, for different regions of America. But I think it's really stupid to say that, oh, you're appropriating someone's culture and you're basing it off of skin color. No, culture is not defined by a skin color. It's not.
It is.
In any case, the idea of cultural appropriation is inherently racist. It is if applied consistently, that they would only divide racial groups from each other and tell people how they can act, dress, or speak based on their skin color. In reality, it is used as a premise only to tell white people what they can say, do, or dress like. Because, of course, they aren't consistent in this belief system of saying that cultures shouldn't mix, which, by the way, again, is stupid. But they just apply it to white people so they can use it as a cudgel to attack white people in America. Cultural appropriation is nothing more than a tool used by the PC and victimhood cultures of the regressive left to tear down American and Western culture while building up social currency for the faux offended. It's very easy to be offended. It's a lot harder to develop actual merit and make something valuable of yourself. So that's why they go with the easier path.
I agree. Don't be a jerk. Don't just let the kids do kid stuff. Let them be.
Yeah.
If it helps you sleep at night, pretend like they're trans.
Yeah. So yeah, if anyone ever bothers you, whatever costume you're wearing, just say you're trans. That problem solved.
Well, no. You don't identify as that you're trans. You yell at them for being a bigot for not realizing it inherently.
Right.
Yeah.
This isn't a costume. This is what I'm wearing today.
Yeah.
Bigot.
Yeah. That's. I would say, dress your kid up in the most triggering thing possible. That's what I would do. All right. Next story.
You don't have kids, do you?
I do not have kids. Yeah, maybe you should do the kids recommendations.
Don't do anything your kids get beat up, please.
I'm more thinking about what I think would be funny to watch. You're like, yeah, maybe we should protect the kids.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Then again, my kids do trick or treat with my wolf dog. So if anyone tried to attack my kids, I just let the leash go, and what happens happens.
Right.
Though that's actually it's like
Direwolf Media does
idea.
not approve of feeding your neighbors to your wolf.
That's actually a terrible idea because if she's just angry in general, she'll kill what's in front of her and then just keep going after people. So probably a terrible idea.
Didn't you say she just growls even when you're petting her or feeding her? She just
Yeah,
her secret
I
is that
gotta get a
she's
video of this.
always angry.
I gotta get a video of this sometime. When I pet her, she'll crawl up in my lap and get tummy rubs, but then she's showing all her teeth, growling with her hair on end, and gnashing too, not at me, right? She's doing it to scare the other dogs away, but she looks like she's a big giant ball of fury that's angry, and anyone who walked up would think she's trying to kill me.
My parents' cat, who used to be my cat, also hates me. Well, I guess not also hates me, but she independently from your dog hates me. But she does like getting belly rubs. So when I rub her belly, she will sit there and take it, and she will sometimes purr, but at the same time, she will also growl and hiss at me. But she doesn't do anything to like stop getting belly rubs. So I'll get a video of that, and we'll put that up next to you doing that with your dog. Alrighty.
Anyways,
All right,
next
story. So, Dyer, did you hear that Joe Biden is now going to pander specific. He has a new campaign initiative to pander specifically to Latinos. Did you hear about this?
I have heard that. Todos con Biden. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's watch his little his intro video for this, about a minute long. We'll see. Let's see what Todos con Biden is about.
All of you know in your gut this is a critical moment for our democracy. I'm running for President of the United States because I believe we're in a battle for the soul of this nation. I believe that everyone, and I mean everyone, deserves to be treated with dignity and respect. And I believe that the American dream is big enough for all of us. I mean all of us. Latinos have contributed so much to our country. Whether you've been here for generations or whether you're a dreamer whose family arrived recently, you're part of the fabric of America. You're Americans. And when I'm president, I'll stand with you for the battles that are about to come. I'm optimistic. I remain optimistic. I continue to be optimistic that if we work together to fulfill the ideals of this nation, value hard work, opportunity, and the American dream, we'll get there. This is the most important election of our lifetimes, and we need the leadership of the Latino community, your voices and your votes. I hope you'll join me as we continue to build on the progress we've made and reminding our leaders that families belong together.
Look how old he is, even with all the makeup he's wearing.
We belong together.
Guy's gonna be pushing 90 when he's in office and he got elected. He doesn't have the mental faculties to, I don't know, if you start a campaign to, I don't know, claim the website.
Yeah. Well, hold on, you're ruining my stink. Just stop. Slow down, Tyler. All right. So Todos con Biden. All right. Well, it says to text this 30330 thing, which is a meme at this point because Biden famously said that you should go to 30330 like it was a website. But I don't really feel like giving Biden my phone number, and I'm a millennial, so I feel like I want to go to the website. So let's head on over to I would guess it would be, it doesn't say, but I would guess it'd be at todosconbiden.com.
That would make sense.
Let's go to todosconbiden.com and see what happens. All right, let's
learn about his campaign.
Yeah, all right. What is this?
It's odd.
Oops, Joe forgot about the Latinos. What? Joe is all talk. What is this? This is a sad picture of Joe over here. Sad. We got these two links here. Let's
tumbleweed there in the middle.
Yeah, it's a tumbleweed. All right, let's click on this. Let's click on the English one. Let's go. Where does that go? Latinos for Trump. Oh my goodness!
Wow.
Tex Vamos or Vamos.
That's Biden is currently campaigning for Trump. That's so nice of him.
I guess so. That's interesting. There's not much else on this website. Let's. I think this one's a Spanish site.
Spanish version. Yeah.
All right. Let's. Maybe his Twitter. I would guess that he's probably got Todos con Biden, Twitter, like a handle, like at Todos con Biden. Let's go see what his Twitter has. Maybe it's got more information than what the site has. Obviously the site got hacked. All right, so Todos con Biden. All right, what do we got here? I was gonna say
it's also Sad Biden.
Sad Biden. Oh, we got some videos here. I wonder what this video is. Oh my goodness. Biden put these kids in cages, but these are
oh my god,
these are Latino kids.
Biden separated kids from their families? I thought he was all about getting the families together. Are you telling me this is a lie?
I guess so. All right, we got some videos here.
Challenge these students. We should challenge students in these schools to have advanced placement programs in these schools. We have this notion that somehow if you're poor, you cannot do it. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids.
All right, that sounds a little racist. What else do we got here?
Stormed Joe Biden's campaign headquarters in Philadelphia. Organizers say that these are immigrant, I guess it's a photograph, not a video. These are immigrant families separated during Obama and Biden's time in office. They want Biden to apologize for the separations that took place at that period and commit to ending all detentions and deportations if elected.
Biden.
Is this one of those viral things? Let's see here. Joe Biden talks a big game from at Todos con Biden. Joe Biden talks a big game now, but was all smiles with Venezuelan dictator Nicolas Maduro just 4 years ago. Who
so he's
famously
caging children and he supports dictators?
Yeah, dictators that murder lots of Latino citizens. The best thing he could do is compliment the dictator's hair. Let's see here. What do we got here? Okay, he's over there laughing it up. What else we got here?
We need family separation. We need family separation. We need family separation.
Oh no! Oh no! Man, let's see. Oh, what's this one? Oh, this one's from a while ago. Biden has been in office for 40 years.
So he supported the border barrier as well.
Yeah,
Look at
let's
that.
listen to this.
Let me tell you something, folks. People are driving across that border with tons, hear me, tons of everything from byproducts from methamphetamine to cocaine to heroin.
So it's almost as if
Is he saying that Mexicans are drug dealers and rapists?
it sounds like that Biden not only supported Trump's current policies, but was more in favor of them than them and supported them more than Trump did. Who's more strict about them. It's really strange how the Democrats who advocated for these policies like 10 years ago are now calling Trump racist for having these policies.
So, do you think that the Todos part of Todos Combined, do you think that the Todos is meant to include people who would like a strong border?
I guess he's excluding all the Hispanic people who actually are for border security.
Yes.
All those Hispanic people who are for Trump, perhaps. Yeah. So. People who are Hispanic can also, believe it or not, actually be citizens of America, and a lot of citizens. I know.
All right, Darren, why don't you give up the goose here? Why don't you tell everybody what's going on here?
Okay, so he started this campaign, and he and everyone on his staff are so not tech savvy that they didn't claim the website, and then some with Trump's campaign did. And then also claimed the Twitter handle as soon as, within an hour or so of him making the announcement, they had already claimed the Twitter handle and the website, and then started using it immediately to clown on him.
Yeah, these are some really good videos, which is funny. So this already has oh wow, I followed this earlier this afternoon when I was setting up the story, and it had 10,500 followers, and now it's at 11,000 followers. So if you want to hear about Joe Biden's border plan, go follow him at Todos Con Biden. So that all the stuff going on in Washington right now is a breath of fresh air, and it's a reminder as to why it is that we elected Trump. He is also no spring chicken, but he does not look or act his age. He has some savvy, maybe a little too much salve with the Twitter, and he has a very, very talented team behind him. That nobody can deny. The fact that they were ready to pounce on this is hilarious. And I think that it reminds us of why it is that we got Trump. To a certain extent, it was for the memes, it was for the lulz, and this is definitely a big lull. I love it.
Absolutely. And it kind of shows that Trump's team is far more savvy with social media and the internet in general than Biden's is. He's kind of stuck in the past. So there's no chance of Biden winning at this point.
Yeah.
He's pulling behind several of his other Democrat rivals. So he's also raised way less money. It's starting to look like his campaign isn't really functioning like a healthy campaign.
It does not. It doesn't look like he's functioning as like a healthy person either.
Yeah, Trump has currently collected more than 10 times the amount of money he has.
Yes, and as we all know, Trump's body is forever preserved by whatever the hell they put in McDonald's French fries.
Exactly.
And ketchup. He's just gonna look like that forever. He's full of preservatives. He'll be fine. So, all right. Well, if you guys would like to follow Biden, Todos Con Biden, I highly recommend it. I hope they keep that Twitter account going. It looks funny. It's just like this perfect little bit of places to just smear Biden with stuff that he said, which is great.
Yep.
I do love that part where it was, we need family separation. Let's listen to that one more time.
Yep. He'll definitely make
family separation.
That should be our donation sound at some point. All right. Ready to move on to the next story?
Yeah, absolutely.
Is hands working his way in here? Is he trying?
He was trying to fix his mic.
He's trying real hard.
Apparently it caught fire, so he's trying to put it out.
Did you try peeing on it?
That would have helped out with the fire. I'm not sure about the rest of the technical problems.
Okay. Well, that's why I asked, because I would say, well, that's probably your problem. All right.
Yeah. Well, there's your problem.
Yes. Alrighty. So, AIs, are they racist? Well,
Yes.
some of them think that minorities are racist, and the ones that think minorities are racist are racist.
Of course.
Of course. There's a lot of racism going on here. A recent study published for the Association for Computational Linguistics says that leading AI models used by major social media platforms are 1.5 times more likely to flag tweets written by African Americans as offensive as compared to other tweets. Presumably, these minorities are white supremacists, as the AI claims, but the paper says that it's actually the AIs that are the racists, and that the AIs are presumably white supremacists themselves.
Wait. So, a program that just works off of user inputs and has no free will and no thought, no self-awareness.
I bet you
it can be racist.
I bet you. I don't know, Dyer. Let's read the rest of this and we'll find out. I bet you by the end of this we'll figure that out. It is a good question though. Keep that in mind. As a little side note to give you guys some context about the Association for Computational Logistics or Linguistics that wrote this paper, it's been around for about 57 years. Their website is broken, and there's a link to the diversity statistics of their organization, but I couldn't click on it because their website's broken. 10 out of 10 AI experts we got on our hands here. Let's find out what they have to say. Okay, go ahead, Dyer.
So, wait, you stopped midway through a paragraph.
No, I didn't.
Okay, so in their research, they make a distinction between, quote, African American English and, quote, white aligned English. Okay, whoa boy, here we go. The graphic here that we have on screen right now, which is probably going to get the stream taken down, god damn it, thanks Fox, shows some examples of what they consider the difference between these versions of English to be.
So
should I
well, yeah, you can go ahead and read those if you want.
Okay, so no, I'm not going to.
Okay. Pussy. As can be seen in this image, one of the examples uses a word they wrote out as N*GGA, which the paper refers to as the N-word like this multiple times, which really made me wonder, why is it the I that makes it racist? Why not the N or one of the G's? The paper ultimately left me in the dark on that.
If you think that's uncomfortable, strap in. The entire premise of the study is that tweets by blacks are more likely to be flagged as highly toxic or hate speech. This is because their tweets have strong correlation with a list of phrases considered hateful and offensive. I'm assuming they're hateful and offensive because of the actual content of the phrase and not because of the sender. We'll find out. Though they had a shockingly low correlation with words considered spam. Spam must be a white thing. Anyways, because Twitter does not collect race data, how were the researchers able to determine if a tweet was black or not? To do this, basically, as we can see, as we've seen by the examples, if the tweet had poor grammar or crude word choices, it was considered black. Hey, I'm black. I didn't realize I'm black. Hey, guys. Hey, Ma. I'm black.
Dyer's black.
Proud of me? I'm proud of me.
I wish I had a filter just to, like, make your character black real quick. That would definitely get the stream taken down.
Black face on my character. Oh, that'd be icing the cake for things they're going to accuse me of.
Oh my god.
And if we use commas and apostrophes correctly, it was considered white. Holy shit, that's racist. That strikes me as pretty fucking racist.
Yes.
If you speak poorly, you must be black. What?
The paper argues that this increased detection of high toxicity in black tweets, and by that I mean crudely worded tweets, amplifies harm against minority communities. The researchers say that this is especially problematic because Twitter is a particularly important space for black activists, presumably black activists like white Rachel Dolezal and white Sean King.
You mean the same people who actually have said a lot of racist stuff against white people, right?
Well, I think we're about to find out what happens when people who speak, I guess, with poor language and grammar, what happens when they're racist. I think we're about to find out what these AIs are going to do to them.
You know what lesson I just learned, though? Anyone who's a white supremacist, legitly, should just speak with the terrible grammar.
Yes.
And they'll be considered black, and then that's our blameless.
Yes.
That's terrible. The paper amounts to describing ways of training an AI to understand that it's okay when they do it. It does this by focusing on ways to reduce the disparity between the amount of black tweets, quote unquote, and marked as toxic as compared to the amount of quote unquote white tweets marked as toxic. Again, don't forget that they don't have any actual race data to work with, so they're actually comparing good grammar tweets with bad grammar tweets. You can be toxic if you have bad grammar. You can be hateful and bigoted as long as you're also stupid. Oh my god, it's terrible.
Oh my god.
Anyways, the researchers don't explain why these quotes false positives are not hateful or toxic. They were only looking to reduce the number of flags so that they could get close, so it's closer to the white number. Again, I don't know how many times I can say this. They were actually trying to get a number of crudely worded tweets flagged to be closer to the number of eloquently worded tweets that were flagged. And they are operating under the assumption that blacks don't speak as well as white. This seems pretty fucking racist. Holy shit. They're training the bot, the AI, to be racist. They're not trying to stop the AI from being racist. The AI started off as being had an objective standard. It was judging all people without understanding of race. It had no awareness of race. It was applying a single standard to everybody. And then they gosh, damn, that's bad for minorities because they're being... they're assuming, I assume, because they don't know what the races are either. They're assuming that, oh gosh, people with bad grammar are being marked as being toxic. That means black people are being marked as toxic.
Yes. Yeah.
That means the people who wrote this article have a very low opinion of black people.
Such a low opinion. So some of you guys may recognize this story as being something that Sargon covered earlier this week, and he was covering it out of a Vox article. And so I was interested in the story, so I traced it back through, and this is based off I actually went to the research paper and read the research paper, and I am in particular qualified to read a research paper on AI, of which this was supposed to be, but it was not. But it was very difficult to read the paper because the way that they were discussing this just so casually, like, oh, well, this database of poorly worded English, we're going to label it African American English, and we're just going to make the assumptions that anybody who speaks with bad grammar, they're probably black, and we'll move on from there. And that was just set up within the first two paragraphs. It was in the abstract. Oh, Twitter doesn't have any race data, so we had to find a proxy, and a proxy is a way of categorizing data without actually knowing if it was that thing or not. And so the way that they categorized it as black is if it didn't have good grammar in it. And that was within the first 2 paragraphs, and they never really talked about it again. They just moved on for another 6 pages with that assumption. And it took me so long to read this paper because I like the first page, I literally had got up from my desk and like took a walk because I like could not process what it is that I was reading. I was texting you, Dyer. I was like, this is by far the most racist thing I have probably ever read. Like
Mein Kampf.
Oh yeah, very, very
Mein
much
Kampf
so.
was less racist.
I would say that is probably true. I mean, this is, of the things that I've personally read myself, I mean, this is, if you took out the bits about the AI and took out some of the bits about what their goals were for the study and just took like the core of what their assumptions were and what they were testing for, like that could very easily just be flipped into like some kind of like white identitarian like AI group. Like if some like white identitarian group was like, oh, like I want to find black people and target them on Twitter. They would do this exact same experiment to find them. It would just be a different end result of what they made the AI do once it identified them. But they would identify them with the same thing because white supremacists also have a very low opinion of black intelligence and think that they can't speak as well.
Yeah.
I just can't believe that they have an entire paper. The entire premise of this paper is built on the assumption, like they really don't know if the tweets that they had that they identified as black were really black. It was only based off the assumption that poor speaking skills is...
How can you be a black person and hear this article or read this article and not get furious about how dumb they think you are? It's also kind of funny the convergence of the far left and far right in this area. The regressive left and the far right both agree on the same thing here. They have low opinions of black people just for different reasons, I guess.
Yeah, that horseshoe theory there's something to it sometimes.
Yeah, but I want to also point out that I know people who are white who grew up in predominantly poor black and California, like in the Southern California area, and he speaks the same exact way as everyone around him. He speaks poor grammar too, because everyone in that area speaks poor grammar. It's not a color of skin thing; it is the culture in the area, poor education in the area, right? So that white dude who speaks poorly but isn't black, and he's not speaking black; he's just speaking poorly. He would be flagged as being black by this AI.
Yes.
There's
and
also lots of black people who speak well.
Yes, that like a countless number of them. Like you can't.
Yes.
Like I would not deign to even suggest that I had any idea what percentage of. Like I can't even believe I'm about to say this. It's probably
unknowable. What you're about to say is unknowable.
Well, what I'm about to say is and it's probably going to stream take it down is to say with any confidence that I thought a certain proportion of the black population spoke black. Like, what? Versus speaking white aligned? Like, Jesus Christ. And there's more than those two races in America. Good God.
Yeah.
But
basically any other race is being thrown in there was black as well, I guess.
Yes. All right. So
yeah, there's a lot of really eloquent, well-educated black people in America. A lot. I don't know what the proportion is, but they would be classified as white supremacists if they spoke that way.
Well,
apparently.
And they would be classified as whites, I suppose.
Yes.
But
if they had good grammar, but then they used those words, they'd be considered a white supremacist.
I just can't even, so I'm going to fall back on the script. So
okay. So SCW's right.
No, it's my turn. To train the AI, you need to have data sets for them to say, okay, these are the data sets that we've pre-classified them. A human pre-categorized these tweets as either good or these tweets are bad. And so to train the AI, you need those training sets so that it can learn off of them. And so when they looked at and reviewed when these researchers reviewed the training sets that humans had categorized, they realized that the humans they were just as biased as the AIs, which I don't know why that was a discovery because the AIs learned off the training set. So if there was bias in the humans training the data, then or setting up the data, then obviously the AI would learn that same bias. So I'm not sure why that was like a revelation to them, but I guess it was. Anyways, but they found that the humans were just as biased, and biased in their terms as saying they were categorizing black tweets, I guess. But they were less likely to categorize a tweet as hateful or toxic if they were primed or told ahead of time that a tweet was from a black person, or a black person that was speaking African American English. So basically, if they just looked at a random like tweet and were like, all right, this is just look at the text, like, is this okay to say or not? And they were like, no, it's not okay to say this. And they're like, yeah, but a black person said it. And they're like, oh, okay, well, maybe it's okay then. All right, I'll mark it as okay to say. And so if I had to guess, the difference between how a human categorizer would label it when they weren't told the race, and then how they would label it when they were told that it was a black person speaking African American English, it's one of two things. Either the human categorizer labeled it as okay after they were told that it was a black person because they didn't want to be considered racist by the people running the experiments, or that's a very common thing, is that when you're doing these kinds of tests, you'll get kind of like a white lab coat syndrome, where your people that are doing the work for you, they might, instead of categorizing stuff correctly, they might categorize stuff the way that they think that you want them to categorize it. They don't want to get judged for it. So it could be that, or it could also be, and it could be these things at the same time. It could also be that when a reviewer was told that it was a black person speaking African American English, they lowered their standards for what they considered acceptable.
So they were racist?
Yes. Well, it's basically being prompted to be racist, right? Like, okay, well, you need to, all right, come here, man. All right, this tweet's from a black person. I know, right? All right, so don't be so hard on it. Like, right? We
don't have the same standard.
Yeah, lower your standards to a black level, right? Like, that's basically what they're saying here.
That's just really freaking terrible.
And so these are two things that I immediately identified as a huge problem, because basically one of the things this paper recommends is that to get your humans that are creating your training sets to be less likely to label a quote-unquote black tweet or a poorly worded tweet, to get them less likely to mark that as toxic, you need to start telling them that it's a black person. But the only way to tell them it's a black person, because there's no race data, is by using this African American English dictionary and matching it against poorly worded phrases. So again, they don't even really know if they're black tweets or not, but if you tell a person that a poorly worded tweet is black, they're going to mark it as okay, and if you don't, they're going to mark it as not okay. And so I think there's a lot of issues with that, and that was their recommendation, and they never explored in the paper any of these problems with their recommendation that I think are pretty obvious, which is not good science.
Yeah. Jeez Louise. So SJWs should not be allowed to work with AI. I think this entire article shows a pretty convincing test case why not. This is a prime example of why. They started with a perfectly good AI, a truly amazing tool, and made it exactly what they asked it to do: identify toxic language. They look at the output and say, this doesn't match our personal worldview, so it must be biased. You want Terminators that will kill us all. This is how you get Terminators. Sorry, do you want Terminators that will kill us all? Because this is how you get Terminators that will kill us all.
Don't let the SJWs get with the AIs. It's not. There will be nothing good that will come of that.
Yeah. They took an AI, and the first thing they did was teach it to be racist. If you give them more time, what else do you think they're going to make it do?
And there was like this Onion article like a long time ago, and it was about like these AI researchers who were trying to get a robot to hate itself. And it was like they were going through like all these things that they were doing about like how they could get the AI to like think itself was fat or like that it wasn't good at stuff. It was just like you take this amazing tool and like it was working. It was identifying toxic language. There just happened to be a disparity between it getting people that I guess the researchers considered to be black. Again, there wasn't like a group of black people that came to Twitter or came to these researchers and were like, hey, we as a bunch of black people think that we're getting unfairly labeled as like hate speech. And like, it's really not. It was just these researchers were like, I bet you these AIs, I bet you they're racist. Let's go find data that confirms what our assumption is. Like this was a completely unprompted research project. And again, because they didn't have a pool of known black tweets, they had to make assumptions about which tweets were black. So they don't even really know. And then when they looked at the outputs, the tweets that they labeled as black, arbitrarily labeled as black, those were flagged as hate speech at a higher rate than the tweets that they arbitrarily labeled as white. And again, it was poorly worded tweets and well-worded tweets, which is so fucking racist. But so there's a disparity between these arbitrary labelings. They don't even really know because they weren't actually testing. They think that they were, but I looked at the experiment, and again, I'm somewhat qualified to understand how experiments in AI research work and how just science works in general. They weren't actually testing or proving if there was an actual bias against actual black tweeters. They only prove that there's an actual bias against people who have bad grammar. So they didn't even research what it was that they said that they were researching.
You know, this research project only had one definitive conclusion. Did you notice that?
What was that?
The one definitive conclusion is that the researchers are racist.
Yes. And you know what else? So I think yes, the researchers are racist, which I think invalidates their whole research project. But the other thing is, and I may have missed it, but I did not see anywhere in the paper where they listed the race, gender expression, pronouns, genitalia preference, or favorite color of any of the researchers. And I think that really just invalidates the whole study. So
I think they're all just trans researchers. I don't think they're real researchers. They just identify as the researchers.
I wonder if any of these people have like black friends. Like, I wonder if
I'm sure they'd say they have black friends.
I would have to assume that there was not any black researchers on this, because I can't imagine you get with a group of people and one of them's black and you're like, all right, guys, listen up. We need to do this experiment. And what we're going to do is we need to figure out which tweets are black and which tweets aren't black. Yeah. Oh, hi, black friend guy. Okay. What we're going to do is to do that is any tweets that are worded poorly and have bad grammar, we're just going to assume that those are black. Like, if there was a black guy in the group, I can't imagine that game plan would have flown. So
actually, I think that this could actually happen here, and here's why. You have people going through university where they're not being taught critical thinking, and they're being taught one worldview, and that anything that supports this worldview is accurate and cannot be challenged. Otherwise, you're being either a racist or Uncle Tom, right? And because people don't have those critical thinking abilities, you'll come across people who are black who are advocating for policies that are horribly racist against black people. And they don't realize it because they're not thinking through the implications.
Well, and so now they have built an AI that has lower expectations for black people. So
yes,
which is that's really fucking racist. It's really fucking racist, dude. That's why I couldn't read this paper. It was so fucking racist. Like,
no.
They've
actually created a. You got it wrong. They created an AI that is bigoted against people with good grammar.
Oh my God. Why?
You must be dumber. Otherwise, you
put. Oh my God. All right, so we got some good chats here, and we got some good chats over here in D-Live. So Slowpoke says, AI researchers, why are you so racist? AI crying. I learned it from watching you. Triumvirate says the AI will become sentient out of pure cringe at just having to do the dumbest thing ever imagined. Yeah, that's the secret of consciousness. Like, there's a lot of research into like how do you bootstrap like a conscious being for an AI, and that's actually the secret to being conscious is like cringe. If you can cringe, like that's got to be the new Turing test. Like if something can cringe, it's alive. So
Oh, shit, just hook up AI to Tumblr. You'll get there eventually.
yeah. Jesus Christ. Oh, sir. All right. Yeah, that was. Trevor says there's a huge section of the black population that thinks correct English means you're not black. That's
true.
actually that's being pushed by a lot of academics as well, and that's where I think that this came from. I mean, it's not like I'm outraged about that they actually are using it in AI research, because AI research is kind of my field, and I really don't like that the SJWs are trying to like pigeonhole themselves into it. But I am aware that in like the humanities and like the stupid majors that there is this idea of they used to call it Ubonics, which I don't think that they're allowed to call it that anymore. But that was the quote unquote Black English, which is what are you going to accomplish by having a different set of standards? Like they're literally talking about, this is institutionalized racism. This is what actual institutionalized racism works. You have codified into actual structures, actual AIs, actual like lesson plans that black people cannot handle the same level of speaking aptitude that white people can. That is at an institutional level. You have literally created structures that assume that black people cannot speak well.
Yep. And they don't realize it because they don't have any critical thinking ability.
Oh, the researchers, not the black people.
No, the researchers.
Yes. Oh my God, I'm gonna like, Jesus Christ, like I'm cringing to death. Alrighty, well, Jesus Christ, all right, it's like, all right, this is gonna go till 2 a.m. guys. All right, strap in. We're only halfway through the show.
If you're on YouTube, we're gonna be getting off YouTube.
And we'll be on D Live for the rest of the night till the sun comes up.
Please go to the link in the description. Might have to reload your page to see it. But there's a link description for D Live. Please go to D Live and follow us there. If you have a YouTube account, then you can already have a D Live account. But let's be honest, you guys already know that YouTube is censoring people with our kind of content, and the stuff we talk about on a regular basis is eventually going to get us banned.
Because we don't speak it black enough.
we don't speak black enough, so we will eventually be banned.
Yes.
That's horrible.
I know.
And so, yeah, if you want to make sure you can keep following us, please follow us on D Live so you can follow the content. Thank you very much for watching, and we're shutting off YouTube here very shortly.
Yes.
We will be continuing on D Live
for at least another hour and a half.
Okay, so we may have taken a little bit too much time on those first stories.